presentation, which will be from Andrea Romaoli and Dr. Yinbiao Pu from SEG 12, working group number 7, which is biodigital risk ethical aspects. So, Andrea, I'll give you the screen and you can continue.
Okay, colleagues, it was an insightful presentation today that you all provided. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for giving me the floor. Please let me provide a landscape about risk, ethical, and social impact on biodigital convergence in the year that COP27 put in bold the relevance of technologies and ethics to recover the planet and climate goals. In the coming years, climate change will make much of the world a hotter, drier place, and we should be prepared to live in these harsher conditions. Technology has potential to speed up the changes that we need. More than a technological change, this biodigital convergence may transform the way we are human or natural. This presentation aims to present a glance about what is happening in the implementation, addressing opportunities while managing its risks with care and ethics, and suggests how to guide policy and governance conversations. The scope of Working Group 7 refers to social, ethical, risk resilience, safety management issues pertinent to biodigital convergence to be considered with international standardization context, include data governance and related issues. The Working Group 7 is a multidisciplinary formed by 37 members. Our exploratory task is working with 2 subgroups led by Dr. Jumbo Pu and I. These are some ethical and regulatory critical issues: capacity of governability, digital sovereignty, biothreats, accountability, trustworthiness versus unpredictability on decisions of robots, growing inequalities, dual-use dilemma and military use, hybrid ethical approach into bioengineering, and climate engineering convergence. The way technology spreads across countries is central to how global growth is generated and shared across countries. Thus, it is the reason that gray zones are growing very fast. Considering the current and tough worldwide scenario that urges a fast action for climate change and better perspectives for human evolution, the challenge for standardization of biodigital convergence relates to capacity of governability to control issues as dual use or inequalities due to technological evolution is running faster than capacity of governability. Among issues, capacity of governability shows some point. Faster technological innovation, worthy events, soft law with no binding effort, considering national interest contributes to fragmentation of the international legal order and make it hard to keep harmony law of international organizations regarding the competence. The key considerations drive international field to discuss the relevance of soft laws and its no binding effect due to its central ethical issue about biodigital convergence that impacts international organizations such as IC, ISO, and ITO. As part of solution to accelerate safe implementation through equal justice, corruption is an aspect that evokes concerns because ethical standard is a soft law with no binding effect. And on a perspective where corruption is part, maybe ethics would be not adopted, and consequences could be opposite of expected, such as making easy acquisition biodigital convergence power to expand the actions from criminal organizations, leading with human trafficking, research, technology trafficking, and terrorism. Another point relates to the connection between growing inequalities and human augmentation because the level of modification on human body, including brain, may change the perception of human beings to some level in the future when humans and machines merge, seeking for super smart and super strong humans. In this regard, it could create a social gap in the near future. We could handle with three discussions. One discussion is about portions that would remain of the natural configuration as physically or psychologically human, and two, taxation and costs. And then we have human beings versus subspecies. It is about eugenic or racial cleaning. But there are sunny days on that. Also, standardization work was made toward clarifications. The regulatory framework would enjoy benefits through reduction of blurring zones. Regarding digital sovereignty, there is growing concern that citizens, business, and countries are gradually losing control over their data, over their capacity for innovation, and over their ability to shape and enforce legislation in the digital environment that requires policies to increase strategic autonomy of countries. The European Union pointed out the necessity to implement ethical standards in all sectors and levels, as well as to adapt the legal, regulatory, and financial instruments expecting to promote values and principles in areas such as data protection, cybersecurity, and ethically designed biodigital technology. And other countries are joining that. The process of decision making of robots is very interesting ethical issue about the clash among principles and reasonableness. The unpredictability of decisions of robots are proportional to autonomy degree that they receive it, and that is why accountability, trustworthiness, and liability became ethical and legal critical issues due to growing interactions between society, cognitive, and autonomous robots in everyday life affects human behaviors as well as introduces social and cultural changes insofar as I trigger issues related to privacy, safety, life sovereignty, and human dignity. The crucial point is if more autonomy, less trustworthy, if more surveillance, more traceability. That restricts the capacity of cognitive robots at decision making and learning abilities. Another point is that trustworthy relates to human behavior. Then it is a reality for robots. My perspective about this question is that a short answer would be no, simple because they don't have capacity to feel trust, they don't comprehend the trust, or don't understand how it really works. But it means that a long path through this question is coming up. Um, On a hand, there is a discussion around the geoengineering about whether it would be ethical to adopt or not adopt, because some experts consider that it encourages the fossil fuel industry, as well as could have a long-term rebound effect due to irreversibility. On the other hand, there is international consensus that planet sustainability depends on keeping a 1.5-degree temperature limit. So we need to invest massively in renewable. Okay, uh, whether a given geoengineering option to mitigate climate change should be pursued despite the scientific uncertainty about its impact should be evaluated against alternative options, include those about which there is more scientific certainty. In the event that there is a full or partial governance gap, causal is potentially legally significant, thus as preferable the least potential harmful option. Climate change is fundamentally an ethical issue, and that is why the Declaration of Ethical Principles in relation to climate change applies six principles to prevent more inequity, misdistribution, and to protect vulnerable people. Then, the path that COP27 highlighted is for abandoning speculative services and instead to adopt honest evaluations and the potentials and risks of pursuing geoengineer or not pursuing because geoengineering are necessary at this moment on the scope of the resilient planet through the transformational governance by harnessing technological innovation aims to increase human well-being and to ensure sustainability. So we should invest on that. About the risk approach, we found gaps at risk assessment and risk management on framework standardization and governance. The first critical point on risk assessment is that there is no unique framework capable of evaluating the risk associated with innovative configurations between engineering, biology, physics, nanotechnology, information science, and advances from AI because it has existing frameworks being applied to particular technology or fields. Thus, is auspicious to explore different technologies, scenarios, or applications by comparative mode to equip decision makers with knowledge and key impacts, vulnerabilities, gaps, and available level of governability to quantify the variables at scales. It would allow a comprehensive and integrated framework approach. However, the risk management and policy related to risk, it considers as relevant the probability of reversibility and capacity of governability on decision making about safe implementation. Then combined methods such as SWOT and EFCO matrix will be helpful, considering ethics aspects related to risk definition and technology. The decision-making process will be considered to adopt or not adopt depending on the level on capacity of governability. In this manner, governability appears as an asset and a way to consider ethical, social, and political issues with the possibility of well understanding the impact and mitigation strategies. This method passed through IC tripartite system for safety, by holistic human-centric approach with human, machine, and environment are combined to harmonious transformation and resilient standardization process. BioDigital Convergence display a huge potential social impact because its potential to recover the planet and contribute for the 1.5 limit. So in COP27, senior officials from several governments, the UN Environment Programme, and the UN Framework Convention on Climate Change launched a new 5-year work program to promote climate technology solutions in developing countries. Going further, they will accelerate the deployment of transformative climate technologies that are urgently required to tackle climate change. The program aims mitigation and adaptation, including technology roadmaps, work on gender and technology in general. Women and climate has a red flag because women is under mortal danger. We are dying fast now. Thus, the current dimension expanded the range of principles to address the technological age for good in accordance with international documents, protocols, resolutions, declarations, rules, standards, and laws. Furthermore, this scheme drives us to set up principles that ensure protection for all forms of life through a healthy, resilient, and sustainable planet in harmony with technological innovation and machine. Thus, it is a list with 5 key principles as an umbrella that properly applies to biodigital convergence, where principles relate to abstraction of rights and values relate to generated virtuous actions. Then we have sovereignty of life, human rights, 3, social justice, ethical professional responsibility to promote a planet resilience capability, and it is distributed important values such as democracy, human-centered, freedom, autonomy, accountability, trustworthiness, well-being, explicability, security, human dignity, no torture or human or degraded treatment, to mitigate bias and transparency, just say about some values addressed in this list. Now I will invite Mr. Jambo, and he will provide us more views about that. Let me stop my screen. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you. Hi, I'm here. And let me just start my sharing. Okay. Hi, many thanks for the invitation and opportunity to contribute to this great webinar. And our convener of Working Group 7, Ms. Andrea, gives us a good lecture of the ethics and risks of the biodigital convergence. Here, I would like to just make a supplement of the topic of risks and social impacts. And first, let's take a look at the risk. What is risk? And the definition of risk would come from three parts: the uncertainty, the effect, and the object. It is the effect of the uncertainty on specific aims or goals. And many standardization organizations have to do their job to publish related standards on general risk management, including ISO and IEC. And besides them, United Nations, WHO, and major SDO like COPEN have issued risk-relevant regulations. And on the topic of biodigital convergence, it has some unique features other than traditional technologies. For example, it is surely the convergence of multiple disciplines, so that the regulation will need more compound and applied talents. On the other hand, as Andrea just mentioned, biodigital convergence technologies has deep impacts on the ethical issues and concerns. And with the digital transformation, related issues could be fast propagating like the internet. And if we see through the risks, an appropriate management framework would be suitable. And it will contain the definition, the elements, the definitions, dimensions, and risk sources, covering the evaluation and grading of the risk factors. And for example, genetic editing, brain-computer interfaces will be suitable for use case explorations, and evaluation will include the impacts on individuals, communities, societies, and most importantly, it would be appropriate if the evaluation to United Nations Sustainable Development goals in this process, as many SDOs, including ISO and IEC, has taken them into consideration. And UN SDGs are 70 goals covering almost all aspects of the quality and balanced living of people and the environment. IEC has taken UN SDGs into account of the whole life cycle of international standardization, and there is a task force 3 in IEC board to look about it. And in Sec 12, we have 5 working groups directly focused on specific technologies closely related on SDG, like health and well-being, agriculture, and environmental engineering. And we also have a special task force on social factors as the Working Group 7 to overview the whole picture of the biodigital convergence technologies to ensure the development of technologies would meet the humanity and governance in the same directions. And taking brain-computer interface, for example, the technology would bridge the human brain and devices by passing traditional and natural nerve fibers and muscles. It certainly is a typical convergence technology, and it can have several benefits, like industrial rehabilitation, the education, and the entertainment. But when we are enjoying the bright side, we would like to see what is hidden in the dark side. And risks are coming from both the biological side and the digital side. Like we may realize that the biocompatibility and the neurological and clinical impact on the brain and nervous systems, as the BCI may invoke surgery implants. However, it is not just the traditional impact surgery implants, but it is with a chip. The chip and software could be hacked, as Phil just said, and the communication could be manipulated in an unauthorized way. So bad people may have your brand data for analyzing or even fake identification. So when we look deeper into the application of BCI, we're facing more ethical concerns. Could there be some discrimination towards BCI users? Or would only rich people get to use the technology while people in remote, rural, and developing countries could not afford such technology or treatment after stroke. Also, while applying BCI, the risk-benefit ratio will be evaluated in different ways for rehabilitation or for augmentation. So the boundary needs to be clarified. And in the near future, well, with the metaverse or similar technologies, we may be able to connect BCI into the internet, then all the issues related with the internet will be surfaced. It's just a glimpse of the BCI, but many other biodigital convergence technologies are there to be explored. As we just mentioned about the risk-benefit ratio, which is one of the key issues in ethical concerns. There are many related aspects like discrimination, accessibility, privacy and consent, safety and regulations. All of them are changing and challenging our life and considerations of emerging technologies. For example, while we are building an aging-friendly society, we may need to define what is the new normal. How can we all call a people healthy when there is different performances between senior and youth? And if more and more people are getting to use the emerging technologies, we may get to do a rethinking of the relation between technology and the people. IEC has a SOIC called Active Assistant Living, which may dealing with similar concerns. When the technology is proved to be beneficial, we may consider the accessibility to ensure the same or at least similar support for both rich and poor people, developed and developing countries. And talking about the privacy, we could just have a little discussions about the step counting function in the wearable devices. Before there is a number counting every step you walk every day in our smart bands or smart watches, we don't know how many steps we walked. But on the other hand, we don't have to compare those steps with friends either. And the privacy with our health status, mobility, and the motivation to move has to be exposed unconsciously. And the steps comparison may introduce some social and peer pressure to us, and all of them may involve in potential everyday stress. And some insurance companies may even get to know those steps and offer some discounts on the prices. So some big companies may get to know the mobility of a certain group of a people or community. So in the all-connected society, the privacy and consent aspect is crucial for not only the users, but all stakeholders. Also, with the emerging biodigital convergence technologies, some of the products may come with the integration or implantation with the human body, and those would bring in some those could bring in some life critical scenarios, and the safety issue and the relevant regulations are anticipated to be solved in the whole life cycle of the product during designing, manufacturing, regulation, application, maintenance, and so on. And all these parts are crucial to promote the development of biodigital convergence technology and industry in the right course. And IEC and ISO have published several risk-relevant international standards. In medical devices, IEC TC 62 addressed the common aspects in medical practice. And there are TC 113, ISO TC 215 in health informatics and genomic informatics. And these standards are technology-specified standard which contains risks management parts. And ISO also have to publish some risk management framework in general in TC 262. And of course, there is JTC1 SC42, which pushes forward trustworthy AI, and IEEE has shown a great interest in the fields too. And Ms. Ling Fang has led us to explore these working groups and publish the standards covering biomedical engineering, robotics, cybernetics, and systems engineering. It would naturally propose a question that is there any connections between these standards and standard organizations? So we tried to use knowledge graph to visualize the standardization mapping. We could see the cooperation between ISO and IEC on this topic and find clusters of some closely related standardization projects and objects. And it is just a preliminary attempt. And we come back to use the official graphing tool in IEC mapping platform, which is mentioned by Ms. Yun Tao Yu and Mr. Phil. And the link is here. Everyone could go into and browse the standards while moving over the listed TCs and SCs. It would pop up the standards posting under the committee, and it would be a tool for understanding the relations among the standardization organizations from a systematic top-down view. And also that brings me to the end of my presentation sections. Thank you very much. I'll give back to Ms. Andrea. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Jumbo, for your explanation. It was very insightful. Considering sixth dimension has the era of human and robots as still regulatory field should expand the rights to ensure human leading the role. So we expect that human beings will not compete with machines, but they will acquire skills to manage conflicts and make solutions suitable for solving these hard issues that we live in our planet now. War and pandemic, moral degeneration, so poverty, because hungry people and the planet cannot wait for much. Thank you for everyone that was here. I am open to questions. Thank you, Peter. Thank you, Francois.
Thank you, Andrea. Thank you, Jambu. Again, I do not see any questions for this particular topic in the Q&A. So again, thank you very much for your presentation, which is a timely presentation considering the topic and social aspects. So Francois, I would, as the convener, I'd like to go back to you